Let me go start.
Yes.
This one. And it's just it coats the stomach. For me, it coats the stomach. It doesn't make me feel sick at all. I'm using some nausea meds.
How are you guys tonight? Good. Good.
We are live and we are excited to be here tonight with all of you. Thank you for your presence and your beautiful faces. We're going to continue on our 12-power journey, which is some of those divine faculties that we carry within ourselves. And tonight, the conversation is about imagination. So hold that thought, I imagine, and we will come back to that about 45 minutes or so. Tonight we're going to be pretty fluid. Things might look a little different. And we're going to invite Izzy up to the stage because she has a few announcements she wants to start off with.
Hi everybody, thank you for being here tonight. James and I wanted to come up and just give a couple of announcements. It's been actually a couple months since I've been on the stage at the 12 Powers, so I wanted to get up and say hi to everybody and thank everybody personally for coming today, for supporting the movement, supporting the speakers, supporting unity. We just really want to thank you, and we hope that you receive something very special today when it comes to the power of imagination. I'm so looking forward to hearing what the speakers have to say. And we also just wanted to give you a little sneak peek of what James and I have coming up with Activate Your Power Now. So I'm gonna pass the mic real quick as we have some more people coming in. We're gonna allow them to come in and again, just share a couple announcements real quick.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. So again, thank you for coming through. It's been wonderful, this ride with Activate Your Power Now. And I'm so glad to see so many new faces in the building this evening. Coming up, we have basically a seminar or a workshop in September that we are creating right now. So we would like to basically extend that invite on stage. It should be in September. We're thinking around the second or third week. Hasn't been finalized yet, but just getting that out there early. It's basically we're going to introduce the Power Path process. And that's basically a process in which we help individuals activate their power, help them tap into who they are, reclaim their identity, reclaim their magic per se, excuse me. So that's going to be again in September. We also are going to be introducing a sneak peek at, well, we're going to be introducing a sneak peek in August at the BTBY conference, Becoming the Best You, with Brenda. She's the one that set that up. That it's a beautiful, beautiful time with beautiful people. But yes, you hear me? Cool. So again, August, we will be doing a sneak peek for the Power Path process at the BTBY conference. In September, we'll be doing our first workshop called Activate Your Power Now workshop, and we will be introducing the Power Path process in full. So look forward to seeing you guys here. Again, thanks for showing up tonight, and let's have a good time.
So to all the new faces here, because I do see a couple new faces to Activate Your Power Now, I want to let you know what Activate Your Power Now is, in case you're not aware. So Activate Your Power Now is a platform, a safe platform for healing. It is our belief with Activate Your Power Now that everybody has a powerful story within them that just needs activated. And once you activate it, we want to help you release shame. release past traumas, and release all of the things that people are saying or doing around you that are keeping you from being empowered. So that's what being activated is. And we encourage everybody. We have professional speakers get on our platform, and that's just because they want to pour into you guys. But really Activate Your Power Now is about the average person, everybody tapping into their story. And if you're inspired to share it with the world, to share it with people with hopes that they too will have the courage and the strength to tap into their truth, then you're welcome to come up stage and share that story. That's what Activate Your Power Now is. So again, it's a stage for everybody and to speak your truth unapologetically. So again, I thank you so much for being here. We really love that it's a intimate environment when we're hosting our events, because we really get to know the people that are here wanting to be activated. I'm assuming that's why we're all here, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and hand it over to Elisa, and I hope you all enjoy this as much as I do. Thank you.
Yay! Thank you. Gosh, a workshop to activate your power. I think we all would benefit from signing up. I mean, if nothing else, we get to be in each other's company and fellowship. And I'm betting there's food. Food always draws me in. So imagination. Imagination here in Unity is one of our 12 powers. It's represented by the disciple Bartholomew. And Bartholomew was one of those ones who held a vision. And that's what imagination is about. It's holding that vision beyond what you can see. It's like to set it right, you see it right. That's the kind of the phrase that we use. And it's represented by the color of light blue. And what I love about imagination, we always look for a body reference, somewhere we see imagination. And it's located right here where the third eye is. So when we're imagining tonight, I imagine that you will see with a new lens and from a new space. So we're going to welcome up Gary, and he's going to take us on a journey to imagination.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everybody. I'll just jump right in. So this is my journey of a warrior by any means necessary, and this would be episode Power of Imagination. So I have 5 points that I want to really illustrate with you guys tonight, so just bear with me. Creativity being the first one. So imagination is the foundation of creativity. It allows us to come up with new ideas and think outside the box. By using our imagination, we can create something that has never been seen before. A great illustration of that would be in 2004, the Lord gave me Warrior Hoops. Warrior Hoops was a sports ministry. It was burning in my heart for years, and I had no idea what was actually inside of me, but the Lord used his creativity power to help me to build a ground roots business, sports ministry that was done in excellence, in a spirit of excellence, in teaching the hardcore fundamentals of basketball, but also allowing kids to connect with the Lord in a way that they'd never done. I dealt with children who would never go to church, never step foot in a church, but because they came to Warrior Hoops, they connected with God. So that creativity led them to the Lord. Program that boasted at its top 258 kids. So something I'm very proud of. The next point would be problem solving. Imagination helps us to visualize different scenarios and come up with solutions to problems. It allows us to think through different possibilities and find the best way forward. This would be an example of my second business. So as I processed through Warrior Hoops, I encountered families that couldn't afford the fees. And the Lord even moved us into the inner city, and I had families who couldn't afford fees at all. So I'm like, Lord, you moved me here. Now, how do I affect change in the lives of these families? So thus the creation of Wealth Builder. I looked at the church and asked my pastor and different organizations for support and got none because I just think they didn't understand the vision. But the Lord showed me that the problem solving was actually within me. And he gave me the skills, the abilities to create a second business that then taught not only myself how to build wealth, but then the families that I was ministering to how to build wealth. My third point, innovation. Imagination is the driving force behind innovation. It enables us to dream up new technologies, products, and services that improve our lives and the world around us. So again, Warrior Hoops wasn't just an ordinary program, it was cutting edge. So how do you think a basketball program, they're all the same, but we were not the same. What made us unique and different was how we coached and how we trained and how we conditioned our kids. Teams came to realize if you played one of our teams, you were in the dogfight of your life. We played teams and programs that were, had better athletes than us because we took any and everybody, it didn't matter. My prerequisite in our program was that you listen and that you work hard. And as long as our children did that, we taught them how to be champions. So that's what made us different than everybody else. We took the kids that nobody else wanted and built them into champions. My next point, empathy, making this a little personal. Imagination allows us to put ourselves in someone else's shoes and see the world from their perspective. It helps us to understand and connect with others, leading to a greater compassion and empathy. This reminds me of probably the darkest time of my life. I had to check myself into a facility out in Olathe called Cottonwood Mental Institute because I was having a breakdown. The trauma that I experienced in my life, it come to an end, and I said, I've got to figure something out, and I needed professional help. Now here I am checking myself into a place where I needed professional help, but I found myself being the helper. I realized in that moment, as I'm sitting in there, I would do my therapy sessions and just interacting with my peers in the mental institution, they started coming to me. They started sharing their issues and their problems and their concerns with me because they felt safe. And that helped me to realize a different call on my life that I never had realized before. I was a coach, I was a minister, pastor, all these different things, but this taught me that I wanted to be a life coach, and it also taught me that I wanted to be a speaker. That's when the speaker in Gary Newsom came alive. So I'm very thankful for that. And my last point that I want to leave you before I sit down is personal growth. Imagination is a powerful tool for personal growth and development. By imagining different possibilities and outcomes, we can set goals, overcome obstacles, and achieve our dreams. It helps us to expand our horizons and reach our fullest potential. So that's personal for me. I don't know where you guys are at in your journey or your struggle, but this was a big, mighty man of God running 2 businesses, pastor, youth pastor, assistant pastor in a couple different churches, known all across Kansas City. And then I hit a roadblock of life. I lose my parents, I lose my marriage, I've lost my sons because of that, which means I lose my granddaughters as well. I'm believing for a change in that, obviously. Lost the 2 businesses that I just talked about. Lost 3 spiritual sons, one of which died in my arms. So I faced the trauma of my life and I lost my faith. Lost it. I'm like, Lord, where are you at in this dark hour? Where are you at? But I had to really dig in and reach into the foundations of who I am. I realized that I am the warrior that I always taught the young people that they were. And I had to call on that warrior. And I called on that warrior every day. And I grew, and I grew, and I grew. I got stronger. I could stand on my own. I could fend for myself. I could think for myself. I've been grew even stronger where I could even think about a future, not just getting through the next hour and then the next day or the next week, but now I could plan a future. I could build a life. And I thank imagination for all of that. And I'll leave you with this, Proverbs 29:18, where there is no vision, the people perish. That's God's word. Where there is no vision, the people perish. This is the power of imagination. Thank you.
Awesome, Gary. As I was listening to you talk, I was following along, and you were speaking about that ability to perceive. And then you move into the problem solving, that innovation, which builds you into that personal growth. And I love how you included empathy, because empathy is that component of compassion. when we can truly be present for ourselves and for one another. And when we have that ability to perceive something beyond what the eye can see, we move into the foundational power of faith. And that's where your personal growth wound up expanding. So thank you for that share. Our next guest speaker is Amy Lee. She's going to be coming up here. She is a genuine spark of creativity and is going to share her views on imagination.
I did not imagine that I would start this evening out with an allergic reaction to a sting, but I did, and I had an EpiPen because I believe in being prepared. So I'm going to sit down during this, and I hope you can still get what I hope will connect with y'all.
You'll be great.
My name is A. Mirandis, Amy for short. I am a poetess. I am a singer. I am a dreamer. I have known since I was very young that I have a vivid imagination. Sometimes it's a good thing. Most of the time, it's a good thing. I was not the pretty little princess of a girl. I was more interested in crawdads and creeks, wildflowers and willows, and all the places I could travel in books and in my imagination. I didn't just read books. I lived in them. I inhabited them. I became one of the characters in those stories, and that was my escape. As a child, it wasn't always a pretty picture. I like to joke that I lost the mom lottery twice. I was adopted because our birth parents couldn't keep us, and I've gotten to know both of them, so I've made peace there. But the people who adopted us really wanted good, kind, obedient little children. And when you can imagine the world, rules don't always sit well. Expectations and roles don't always suit a person with enough imagination to wonder why there's a box to start with, much less why they should want to be in the box. So my friends were in storybooks and poetry, which I discovered when I was in elementary school because one of my best friends in grade school was the librarian. I would go in there to get away and find a new tale, and I was in a small town, so I literally read every book in that library in elementary school. My favorite was a collection of poems, which they gave me when I went to high school. They retired the book, and I still have it. There was a poem in that book called The Secret Heart by Robert P. Coffin. And it told the story of a father who was always stern, always almost cold, and his son would wonder what he had done wrong and why his dad didn't love him. But at night, his dad would bring in a candle, and he kept both hands on either side of the candle, and he just watched his son. And his son knew that he was loved because he saw the secret heart, the secret light that his dad could only show when he thought he was asleep. And it was a beautiful, touching, simple poem written in a rhyming couplet, which is just 2 lines at a time with words that rhyme on the end. And I decided in third grade that I could do that. That's the great thing about imagination. Nobody can tell you you can't and convince you. Not at that age anyway. So I did. I wrote my first poem, and it was a couplet with rhyming words on the end about my faith, and it was like 8 lines long. And I found out that in a world that was already telling me I needed to be more normal and more quiet, that poetry was a way to use my imagination and not be criticized for it. A way that people could get a glimpse into the way that I thought and the things I perceived and my definitely unique take on things, and it was okay. So that became my second language. Poetry's always meant a lot, and I know some of you are sitting here thinking, well, yeah, but not everybody writes poetry. You want to bet? Each of you has a card. Each of you has a pen, and I'd like you just to do a little exercise with me. They're right behind you in the chair behind you. This is going to be easy. I want you to think of your favorite emotion. Write that down. What is your favorite emotion? Then, I want you to think of 3 things that remind you of that emotion. For me, my favorite emotion is hope. I think of a candle. I think of a smile. I think of Excalibur. Because what's more hopeful than a sword and a stone? It's a promise. So you've got your emotion. You've got 3 things that remind you of that. Now I want you to think of your favorite memory where you had that emotion. For me, it would be an Easter morning after I just decided I wasn't going back to college, sitting in the choir loft at the sunrise service thinking, I'm done. And the sunrise broke through the stained glass window and it shone on me and I got my hope back. You've got a few words, a few lines. Look at them, they tell a story. You just wrote a poem. It's that easy. Poetry is just putting down experiences and feelings on paper. And the best thing is there are no rules. Poetry doesn't have to rhyme. It doesn't have to have a set meter. There's something in it for everybody. If you're a person who likes structure, there are forms of poetry with all the guidelines you could want. If you like music, think about spoken word. It's a close cousin, free flow, rap. It's there. That's a form of poetry. That's imagination being spoken into existence. So, as we grow, people go from asking you what you want to be when you grow up. My favorite answer was happy, and it was not considered acceptable. To expecting you to have proper answers. Life gives you rules and logic and practicality. Dreams either get shunted into the nighttime hours or they get altered a little bit at a time until you can't recognize them. The poets, the artists, the musicians, the writers, the performers, they're the lucky ones because these are the people who get to hold on to their dreams and share them with others and teach them that imagination is still alive. It's still important. All you have to do is reach out for it. We call them creatives, those souls blessed with vivid imaginations. I'm skipping around a lot, but the important thing is that you realize for every person, the power of imagination is different. What we imagine is different, but for everybody here, imagination is a thread that we can use to weave the tapestries of the realities that we want. We don't have to settle for boxes. We don't have to settle for logic. We can create new realities. I used to imagine singing and traveling and growing things. I used to imagine having an amazing person in my life who looked at me like maybe I was just a little bit magic. I got caught in a reality that didn't have any of those things. I married a man when I had 3 young children who looked like a knight in shining armor, and the answer to all my problems, but I was wrong. And then I stopped using my imagination and I started believing what other people imagined of me. My ex imagined that I was worthless, that I was a drain, that I was unstable, and that I couldn't survive without him. And for a while, I believed that. And it made me sick, literally. I ended up in a wheelchair. It was 8 years ago that if I wanted to leave my house, I was using a wheelchair. If I wanted to move around inside, I was using a cane or a walker because I had forgotten how to imagine. And I couldn't lift my wheelchair, so I stayed home a lot. But I got on the computer and I started connecting with other poets. And I started mentoring poets around the world. And I found my imagination again. And I realized something very important. What you can't imagine is as important as what you can. Because slowly but surely, I could not imagine being stuck in that house, stuck in that wheelchair, stuck in that loveless marriage, stuck without any belief in myself as a person. I couldn't imagine it anymore. So I started imagining better things. And slowly but surely, I found strength. I found hope. I lost weight. I ate better. I kept writing. I kept mentoring. And I found the courage to leave after 19 years. My health continues to improve. I'm still writing. I'm still mentoring. And I'm singing with a group of friends that are amazing. And I'm growing things everywhere I go. And it's amazing. I'm not traveling yet, but I can see it in my future. I can picture the RV or the pull behind, whatever. I can picture a smiling face beside me, reaching out for my hand as we drive along. looking at me like maybe I'm a little bit magic.
That is awesome. And I love how you said a little bit magic. I would own that magic. Because you know when we started, you talked about there's this box that we can trap ourselves in. And one of my favorite depictions of that is where does the magic happen? In the box or over here? That's imagination, right? You stepped outside of that box and you let your light shine. And I also heard in your story, Amy, the seed. It's planting the seed and then allowing the space for it to bloom. Imagination. So I'm going to do something different a little bit. I would like all of our young people to come up here. Come on. Come on here. We're going to talk imagination. Can you guys all share your names?
I'm Bo.
Okay.
I'm Elijah. I'm Olivia.
So we've got Malia, Elijah, and Bo, right? Did I say that right? Awesome. So we are going to play a game of imagination. So you have to share the mic, okay? So if you could be any shade that you wanted to be, if you wanted to be blue or pink or bright orange or yellow, what color would it be?
Yellow.
Yellow. Okay. Hand it to your brother.
Blue.
Blue.
Green.
Green. Okay, so we've got yellow, blue, and green. Now, if you could be as tall as these light fixtures in the room, or as small as my thumb, which would you choose?
Tall as light.
Okay.
Tall. Tall.
Can't believe it, nobody wants to be Thumbelina here. So we've got really tall, yellow, blue, and green. Now, are we people or are we some sort of an animal?
People.
Okay,
People.
okay.
People.
Okay, so we're all people, but what if as people we had a superpower and we could have wings that make us fly faster than even airplanes, like the sound of that sound, or we have fins that can make us swim really fast, or we had shape-shifting like a chameleon where we could kind of blend in with whatever we want. What would you choose?
Fence.
What'd you say? Fins? Oh, fins, swim fins.
Telekinesis.
Ooh.
Fence.
Fins, you'd be a fast swimmer. Okay. Fast swimmer. I like swimming too. So where would you swim?
In the ocean.
And where would your telekinesis be put to work the most?
To save people.
Mike. I love that answer. Will you share, Elijah, the mic?
To save people.
Bo?
I'll swim in the creek.
Keep it close to home, right? So we're imagining, so I'm imagining seeing 3 people that are really, really tall. I've got yellow, blue, and green, 2 with fins, 1 that is practicing the telekinesis, saving people, swimming in the ocean, and right here at home down the creek, maybe they even get to the ocean, right? What does that feel like?
It feels amazing.
I bet so. Asha?
It feels good. It feels great.
So we've got amazing, good, and great. Who doesn't want to feel that way?
Yes,
Right? That is the power of imagination. So So can you guys kind of show us what that might look like? I know you're standing on 2 feet right now, but what would it look like if you were swimming right now? Or you're practicing that telekinesis? Anything goes. So I was swimming, my feet, if I was a mermaid, I guess I'd have to have fins and I'd be going like this, right? What would your fins look like?
It'd be
Blue fins? And how would you move them?
blue.
Perfect. What would your fins look like, Leah?
Mermaid fins?
Mermaid fins? So you've been moving your feet like I was trying to, huh? Probably be a little better than me, huh? Elijah? You don't know? Well, you know, that telekinesis is probably already at work. Because do you remember what I said when we first got here? Where is the power of imagination? Where do we kind of represent it in our bodies? In our mind, right here. So then we're powering that out. So maybe imagine a green fan. Sound good? You guys want to take the mic and see what our audience might think? How would they share their imagination? Leah, you want to go ask somebody? Take the mic over to someone.
Who do you want to hear say something? Go ahead, somebody.
We're going to watch imagination unfold.
So when I think imagination, I think of the 15 years I was blessed to spend with children. So I had a home daycare and we basically spent our day in our imagination. So it was so fun pretending and playing and taking myself back to when there was no cares in the world. So I enjoy still taking myself there to that place. Even though I'm no longer taking care of littles, but it was great practice for me, right? Not to learn not to take life so serious.
Awesome.
I use my imagination to picture a world where children don't go hungry and to sleep at the sound of gunfire or bombs.
I feel that one.
Hey, loves. I use my imagination a lot when I'm either working on my business, coaching women in reclaiming their identity, and when I look around my yard and creating new landscaping. Like I love to imagine where I'm going to put a new plant, or like, is it going to be a perennial? Is this an annual space? Like, what color is it going to be? How big is it going to grow? And sometimes drawing it out. And so, yeah, those are the two places I use my imagination. Own it. Own it.
I use my imagination to do better, help others, just put a love out into this world.
We have the right to pass.
Talk about mine up there.
I like writing music and poetry and playing instruments.
Same with me.
Okay, I still have a big inner child, so, I climbed trees a lot, and my safe place when I was a kid was to climb as high as I could and get out on the smallest branch that would support me and just lean back and relax. And if the wind was blowing a little bit, all the better. So, I can still imagine being an elf and living in La Florida.
Love it.
My other way I use imagination is I'm a big believer in dreams and everybody's dreams. So when people tell me their dreams, I can see them doing those things, whether they can see it yet or not. And I'm working on seeing that for myself, but yeah, I still keep mine over in the fantasy side a lot.
I use my imagination to help the kiddos I work with. Definitely helps a lot.
I guess I use my imagination. I grew up in a little small town in Alaska, and I always wanted to leave, like, because it was freezing cold, and in the springtime, when it was finally starting to warm up, I always just dreamed about hitting the road and going someplace warm. And so I spent a lot of time as a kid, like, there, and I used my imagination. And then, like, today as an adult, like, I'm a dreamer too, so I think about what I want to do and what I want to be, and I just like try to put that into action by like working at it. So that's it.
I guess I use my imagination. Well, years ago, I envisioned myself being a musician. I didn't play anything, didn't write songs, but then I decided I wanted to really bad, and so, envision myself doing it, put in the hard work, which you gotta do the hard work, as Amy pointed out, and, it can happen, so, you gotta believe in yourself, and you gotta sort of have to see the, sort of the end result.
A lot of things went through my head here. One of my imaginations or goals is just to have contentment within myself. And I truly am a very creative person, and I have a very vivid imagination. I can visualize things. It just starts with an idea, and then I have, with me, I have to persevere and accomplish it. And I'm just happy to step out the door of my house and see my beautiful yard. I have no desire to travel. I'm okay where I'm at. But nature is just right outside my window.
Beautiful. I love everybody's shares. Thank you. I mean, imagination is that sense of wonder and how we can all just expand. So thank you for those shares. And I really appreciate you guys sharing too. Because it's like we can stand up here.
We have one more person.
Of course.
She got activated.
You can actually come right up here if you want to, since you got it. You got it.
I used to work at the hospice house, so I imagine that my patients that I was comforting and caring for them before they transition in this physical realm, before they transition to the other side, and that they, that I made them feel comfortable, and they felt my love, and I guess that's
That's your peace, love, and energy. That's amazing.
Yes. So
I can relate. I'm even driving here, I saw a dead deer on the side of the road. Instead of just passing by it, holding that space, taking a deep breath, and then letting it out, because that's part of spirit, right?
Right.
Holding that space. Thank you for that, Cheryl.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's the glorious power of imagination. And the other part of imagination as it unfolds, we have this ability to perceive, right? We can imagine what's next or the opportunity. And we can also reimagine. So if we have something as part of our past that we're not too crazy about, we can reimagine ourselves as that experience and what we might have liked to see and be in that state of wonder. And that's healing. So imagination, the power of imagination is very healing. And if my friends up here want to help me, we can kind of put our feet out and spread them, and as those of you on your chairs, we just kind of imagine our feet getting solid and on the ground. And instead of, usually in meditation, we're starting from the top and we're moving down. We're going to start from the very bottom. We're going to feel the bottom of our feet connecting to the ground that is beneath us. And as it is, we can kind of feel roots just sinking us in and holding us in a foundation. And as we continue to imagine life in its fullest, imagine the possibilities, imagine any facet, any idea which you would like to see in fruition. We imagine that core that comes from the very ground beneath us, that sense of wonder, that practice of faith. I heard love and peace and strength, and we feel that moving and coursing through our veins, moving up our legs, creating this amazing trunk in which we can rest. And for those of us that are standing, or for those of us that are sitting, we can still feel this power as it courses through our body and this energetic field. And it continues to move up our back. And we breathe in and we breathe out. We feel ourselves straightening in our power. For we have activated our power now. We are imagining life. We are imagining the energy that pours forth through and as us. We might hold our hands up and we imagine that energy pouring out. As this field of light encases us and connects us to our brothers and sisters in the whole 360-degree circle around us. We imagine this light bigger and bigger and bigger. And this imagination, as it pours out for us, we continue to see it climb up and through and as us, out through that crown chakra, out through that third eye. And we see beautiful colors. We see the colors that were here on stage, yellow, blue, and green. We see the colors of heart and pink and purple. We see a magnificent array of color. And we take a breath in and we release. Imagining freedom. Freedom from this experience. Freedom from whatever is holding us back. Settling in to our power as love, united in the energies of our collective oneness. And in that we say yes, spirit, yes. Ready? Yes, spirit, yes, and amen. So let's take a 5-minute break before we have another speaker. Thank you.
Hi.
Awesome.
Basil? No, that is plantain.
I'm sick, so.
Well, we'll do like a.
Great job.
Aren't we all? I swear, Rowan had a cough, like this really phlegmy cough. I think he's on like week 6 now. And I think it's starting to move my way, but I'm it kind of vacillates. Sometimes I'm like, oh no, it's happening. And then I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I'll be fine most of the day. So breathe on Bren. She really loves it. She really loves that. Can't get over it. Oh, I was looking forward to some people that hadn't heard Amy ever. I've heard you before. Yeah. I know. Would you like Ace? Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. You did so great up there on stage. Can I have a knuckle bump? Or I mean like an elbow. What is this, an elbow? There we go. Nice. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Exactly.
Bo, that was his name. Oh. I would assume Facebook, but probably YouTube also. Oh, we're not being recorded, right? Slathering on. How are you, Gary?
I'm good.
Besides being under the weather? Yeah. What's good?
Got my license, life, so I'm just
Like,
life insurance.
oh, okay.
Health and annuities, experience, but it's a start.
There are some guys that I'm talking with right now about whole life insurance, which downplays the death benefit. You upgrade the cash value. I'm not sure. I'm gonna look into it. But it sounds like you kind of feel like you have to invest in it forever, which I know that that's what life insurance is. Once you want it, you have to pay 10 to 60 to 1,000 a month. Which I'm like, the reason I'm not here. Anyway, I'd be interested in guessing so just to expand your vocabulary, because I still don't get it. Here, you learn it and then you explain it. Oh,
Going through my onboarding now.
cool. For who are you going to represent?
My first family.
The package that they're pushing for the whole life Ameritas is their number one that they recommend. But again, I don't get it, so I'm not quite sure. Yeah. And then there's another guy who does something called gigs, where it's a little more like a stock and options kind of thing. So, like what I like about stocks is that when you're on hard times, you don't have to keep investing. Whereas with life insurance, you stop investing, she gone.
Well, there's some policies that feel okay for you during situations like that.
That would be important to me because you just never know. You know, it's basically, I know it's an investment, but it's also kind of a bill.
What's the foundation as well?
Yeah, pay yourself first. I get that.
Definitely the foundation as well. I mean, especially married with kids.
Yeah.
That's the fastest way to leave generational wealth to your children.
Does it have a death benefit?
But it doesn't have to just be that. It can be a death benefit and an investment.
Yeah.
It can be a living benefit.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, that's the 401k, the mutual funds, the Roth IRA, you know, those things. And that's what they were saying. It's like your brain wants to believe all the things that you've ever done and never been told by companies and investors and your parents. And then this is very different. And that's why I'm like, what?
Well, shit.
Did that ginger help?
Yeah.
Good. You need another one?
No, I'm still chewing on that. It's different. I've never had
It could be a very different, it's a five.
Yeah, different experience.
Ginger.
Oh.
To calm the stomach.
An actual piece of ginger or?
Yeah, it's made with ginger. It's a ginger chew.
Oh.
Just chewing it.
Ooh. I had turmeric in my coffee today. You know, you'd be surprised. It's called a golden latte. It's over at the little hi-hat by Great. You always say that you're like, oh, I went to the weather today. You're a very good speaker. You don't need to say that.
Yeah, I know what yeah. I was ashamed of that for a while. I needed help. too much happened too fast, so I had to check out. Yeah, that was cool.
Well, yeah, if it's already resonating with you, it's just a matter of.
No, I changed it. More so. Getting more from the say no. If I'm not in a good place right now, I don't have enough to give to you. So. Are you talking?
Okay, we are going to continue on and share in our imaginings. Our next speaker is probably helped Izzy and James found this experience that you're having tonight, Activate Your Power Now. She was the inspiration for that, am I right? The experience? Oh, okay. I thought it was becoming the best you.
She has been a great support system, and B2BY has just supported Activate Your Power Now, and yeah, I would say she has helped us become what we are, yes, because she's held space for us and believed in us.
And for those that are online who couldn't hear that, we're welcoming Brenda up to the stage because, as Izzy just said, she is the person that has held the space. You know, we talked a lot about here, imaginings are about holding that space of love and helping create and helping friends expand into what they are to be. So come on up.
Yes. Yeah, Brenda.
Hey, everybody.
Good.
Well, my name is Brenda Ringwood. I go by Brand. You're probably wondering why I have this crown in my head, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Tonight, we're talking about imagination. What does it mean? It means to be creative, to make something from nothing, to insert yourself into a future that you can see yourself in. When I was a little girl, I imagined being a mom. You imagine that wedding. You imagine that wedding dress. You imagine life as a wife and mother. As a kid, we also imagine what Christmas morning is going to look like. We imagine great things for our life, right? But also, people steal our imagination. They steal our dreams. They steal the things that we want to be. But it's because you let them. Because do they really take it or do you let them have it? So for me, I used to struggle with my self-image. And I used to imagine a life without judgment. I used to imagine a life where people actually loved each other. Could you imagine a life if the currency was love? What would that look like? If love was the currency, could you imagine what life would be like? We would actually love people instead of judging people. So I teach a speaking class, and I was just in class Sunday, and we talk about what you dress like on the stage. I don't normally show up in blue jeans and a t-shirt to speak. We just had this class, did we not? But tonight it's important because we're talking about judging. Imagine a world without judgment. Imagine a world with love. Imagine a world with magic. And when I think of imagination, you know who I think about? I think about Mickey Mouse. I think about Walt Disney, and he's from right here in Kansas City. He might not be from here, but he created Mickey Mouse right here. And he failed, but he still kept on imagining things. He was imagining a life with Mickey Mouse. He wanted to be somebody who could create his drawings that would come to life and bring happiness to other people. Did his dreams come true? Matter of fact, wasn't it called the Magic Kingdom? And what else did he say about making dreams come true? And then what kind of films did he create? Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Bambi, all of these great hits. He imagined this and then they happened. So what are you imagining right now in your life that's going to make your life better? Because that's what imagination does. We are imagining a different life than what we're in. I write fiction novels. I like to imagine life outside of my life. I want to escape the real world, and I write fiction. And those novels are my imagination coming to life. And I pen them on paper. What does that look like? Anybody who writes a book, that's imagination. Even if it's a story about yourself, you look back at what you just wrote. And would you imagine that you got through it when you were going through it? Would you have imagined it at that time, that you were going to make it through? Most of us don't. So I was a young girl, imagining being a wife and a mother, and all those things happened. And I imagined that I would be a business owner, and that happened. But then I was still struggling with self-esteem. I was struggling with what people thought. I was struggling with becoming a person that somebody else wanted me to be and not myself. So now I was losing my imagination. I was losing the person that I really wanted to be because I was listening to other people. I was letting fear and doubt and insecurities and what other people thought control my life. So I imagined a place where that wasn't going to exist. And I imagined myself speaking to people about it. Not to just one person or 10 people or 100 people. Imagine myself thinking about this and speaking around the world. How many of you guys imagine yourself in a different life? What's stopping you from having that life? The only person stopping you is you. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about a life where your mindset is happy with everything you have. Sees the good in every situation. Sees what's going to happen next that they can change the outcome for yourself or for other people. So I created Becoming the Best You. And it was a platform where I could imagine what I wanted for my life. And that started about 3 years ago. And I thought, it's just in my imagination. It's not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But my imagination kept saying, yes, it will. And because I kept saying to my imagination, okay, I'm listening, it happened. And I decided that fear was not going to rule my life. And I decided that I was going to rule my kingdom from there on out. And that everything that I imagined was going to happen. So now I wear my crown just like I imagined. Just like I imagined. See, you don't have to be a princess in royalty. You can be your own princess. You can rule your own kingdom. You're not going to let fear do it, or doubt, or insecurities, or self-image, or what other people think, or the fact that you don't have much money. Who cares? Are you happy? Are you living the life the way you want? Because let me tell you, I had the money, and the cars, and the house, and the businesses, and the people, and I would trade it all for everything I got right now. And it's called happiness. Because we love. And we build relationships. And we rule our own kingdom. And now everything we imagine can come true. Because we allow us to imagine that it can. See, imagination is one thing. But to believe that imagination can happen to you, that's a completely different feeling. Because when you believe it can happen and then it does, now I can believe in you because it happened to me. I can believe in you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and everybody in here. Because I've witnessed it firsthand. The only thing that's stopping you from having those dreams come true is yourself. And I'm going to leave it with that and remind you guys to rule your kingdom.
Awesome, thank you. Let's give her another round of applause. To rule our kingdom, can you feel it? That's the activate your power now, right? And we've got some workshops coming up with Activate Your Power Now. They're going to be doing some speaking for becoming the best you can be. And so, do you have dates for those, Joe?
Becoming the Best You is August.
25th?
Mark your calendars, because he's telling us dates.
So the Becoming the Best You experience, which is a 3-day experience that is, we don't like calling it a conference because you get so much more than a conference. It's truly an experience. We have speakers, we have breakout sessions. We will actually have a workout this time also, which that's what Activate Your Power Now was part of the health team with BTBY. So we will be doing some health aspects also there, but we have a DJ, live music. Will we be having a comedian this year? We have live comedy, so it's a 3-day event, lots of fun, lots of fellowship, and it's just a great time. So August 25th through the 27th here in Kansas City, Missouri. If you have any questions, please reach out to me, reach out to James, reach out to Bryn. We'll be happy to get you some information. And also, if you know anybody who could benefit from going to this event and doesn't have the means, please reach out. We have sponsors, we have different ways to make sure that we get you there. So thank you.
Awesome. So we have that, and then this Saturday we have the True Wisdom series, which is the same part, right?
Yes, we have Activate Your Power Now, Truth Series, where we'll be speaking on True Wisdom Saturday in Johnson County in Shawnee. All of our events are also live streamed. So again, just reach out, follow us on Facebook, Activate Your Power Now, and you'll see marketing for all of our events.
Awesome, thank you. And don't forget, we are here located in Unity Southeast in Kansas City. We're an awesome place. Can't you feel it? Yes. Because we know we don't have to activate our power, because we know that power is moving in and within us, right? So as Brent said, we own our kingdom. We put on our crowns and we straighten it up, right? Because we're the master of our world, right? Awesome. So everybody, go forward. Have an amazing week. Until next month, every Wednesday night here, we've got something happening, and every Sunday at 11. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna stop recording, but Bo wants to say something real quick on imagination. Feel free, we can start wrapping up, but he wants to say something if that's okay real quick.
Oh, that's so cool. Good job.
So God created imagination for your life to be better, and God created that so your life can be better, and then you think of what you want to do because that's your imagination thinking.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great job.
It's by Michelangelo. And Michelangelo said, he had this big piece of marble, and he said, all I had to do was carve to set free.
Yes, that's right there. Thank you. Good job. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.